Okay, now I think we're live. Pardon me, viewer and or listener. If you are looking at the logo, we are live. If you're not, we are not.
It just told me.
All right, rub your hands together in glee. You can probably hear I put on a
All
bunch
the
of rings
rings.
for the show. I haven't worn these skull rings in a while. I kind of miss them.
It's been a while, yeah.
They do make a lot of noise, as you can hear, listener.
Lots of clicking.
But they do make me look like a badass. Here's the thing about big rings, though. If you ride a bike and you want to protect your hands, you got to wear gloves. And a lot of these chunky-ass rings don't fit under those gloves.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem.
And having to pull them off and put them in your pocket and slip your gloves on and then get to the place and put your gloves off, put all your rings back on. Like, the dynamics of riding a motorcycle, if you want to properly protect yourself from injury, quite a bit of ritual involved. Every time I see one of these dudes who like rolls around in flip-flops and a t-shirt, I go, hello, Dee Dee. Hello, Big Salmon. Thank you for confirming the live.
Yay.
Every time I see those dudes, and they're typically older dudes on Harleys, I go, oh my God, sort of jealous, but just even, oh my God. If you're even remotely familiar with motorcycling, or if you've seen a motorcycle, you can get the idea, or, you know, everybody's ridden a bike. Yeah, am I right? The thing is, like, a lot of these bikes, if you don't keep on top of them, they have a tendency to wobble. There's a popular Harley model called the Dyna that has a wobble that, you know, if you let it get out of control, you are on the ground. And I see these dudes with, like, cargo shorts and flip-flops and, like, wearing Big Dog or whatever t-shirts from the 90s. No helmet.
Can't all motorcycles wobble, though?
Well, they all can wobble, but there are some that are predisposed to it because of the way they were built in efforts to either cut cost or make this or that, yada, yada, yada. So if you don't mount the engine to the frame and make it a load-carrying member of the overall whole, you can have a problem, especially if your motors are as unbalanced as Harley's are, but by design.
They meant to do it?
Yeah, basically, that's what they're known for. Oh. They have those weird firing patterns, and they have that classic pa-ta-pa-pa-pa-pa.
Yeah.
Like when my bike idles, there's nothing wrong with it because both cylinders are balanced. And here's the thing about that, too. Harley actually tried to trademark that sound.
Like, how do you trademark a sound?
The sound of their engine puts off something very distinctive because all of their shit is designed the same way. And before they had the counterbalancers, that's what would shake their shit apart. But moral of the story is they did try to trademark that sound, and apparently you can't. It's like when they tried to trademark got milk. You can't just trademark the word got.
Shirts that say, if you can't hang with the big dog, stay off the porch.
Yeah, oh my God. Let's talk about those, right? We haven't started the show yet. How long have we been in the green room? 4 minutes?
4 minutes. We
got another minute. So here's the thing. Those Big Dog t-shirts were literally everywhere. Every dad, uncle, every fucking person that I had Big Dog t-shirts where they were just a cultural phenomenon, and they just felt so bland to me.
I don't really know what shirt you're talking about.
Is my bike too good? The Big
Too
Dog
loud.
t-shirts? Well, whatever. I got it from somebody who put a lot of aftermarket parts on it, and one thing he did do was put some loud-ass pipes. So it is loud, but it does sound cool to me. And here's the thing. I'm not one of these dudes who says loud pipes save lives because I don't believe the hype.
I can hear him coming from when he gets into the neighborhood. I can hear him from streets away.
Yeah, like
I know it's him.
I have ridden by people on the freeway who have had their windows open, and when I get close, they very quickly roll them up. So yeah, I've got loud pipes. But even that has not saved me from a bunch of near misses already, and I've only been on this bike for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just being on a bike. Let's hit the show.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
welcome to the show. My name is Dave. This is another live thing. Got no plan, as you can see. We're gonna hang out for a little bit. Even though I have no plan, I do have some options, so don't worry about that. But let's move right into it, and I'll introduce you to my co-host as usual. Chris is over there. Boing.
Hi.
Ta-da. So, do you guys want to hear me talk about motorcycles some more? I know everybody loves that.
Oh, big Sam wants to see the rings.
Oh, you want to see my rings? Yeah.
So fancy.
Yeah. Oh, they're not fancy. They're all steel, but
You don't have to say anything. They won't know that.
one, I feel like it's full disclosure because here's the thing. If you're going to get gaudy jewelry like this, your two options are steel or silver if you want to go gold, but you can't get a lot of biker or whatever big ass obnoxious shit like this in gold. But here's the thing, steel and silver, a lot of people confuse them, and if you use your hands a lot, you're going to destroy a good looking silver ring in no time. All my silver rings I keep for special occasions because I use my hands so much, it will destroy them, and that would break my heart. And steel is like, who cares?
Easy, ring boy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows my fetish for rings. But yeah, so I guess I have no plan for the show. I've got a couple of options. I can keep talking about motorcycles. As I said, I've got some 90s commercials on deck if we want to do that. And I've got some old video game commercials too from the last stream. So I'm easy. But if you want to talk about motorcycles for a little bit, I have a Yamaha Bolt, and a lot of people, so when you ride motorcycles, you'll run into I just see the Roush mug. Yeah. Where did I put that? Oh yeah, there he is. I mean, oh yeah, hashtag Flamingo Friday.
Yeah, I've got my flamingo romper.
I'm wearing double flamingos. I got flamingo on the inside and flamingo on the out.
Fancy.
Yeah, I know, Big Sam, you're a big fan of Flair. I mean, that's obvious. When you told me you were into that the RuPaul's Drag Race, I was like, yeah, this guy loves Flair. I bet like a TJI Fridays or whatever, a fucking shenanigans right up your alley. Pins. Oh man, if you want to see, I mean, obviously you don't want to see, but I have got a massive collection of pins, like the enamel pins, lanyards all over the place. What I want to do is get a nice big cork board, maybe put it back here somewhere, like as if, right? Where the fuck would it go? But I got pins over here, pins over there, pins all over the place. And, I'm not going to wear them because I'm not like a 12-year-old girl going to a Comic-Con, but I do want to display them because they look nice. It's like a spoon collection, I guess.
Yeah, I have a bunch. I put them on my little, oh God, that little backpack that's made from
Yeah, I've lost so many good pins, though, because I go, you know what? This is the one I want to display. And they always fucking fall off or some shit. And then I say, goodbye, Dunkleosteus pin, goodbye, whatever. All my good ones. I lost one of my Mad Ball pins or whatever. It's crazy.
I got a new mug for anybody that likes mugs. It says Plant Mom on it.
And how do you not like mugs, right?
This is a great mug. It's so big.
I feel like maybe everybody goes through this. I'm sure they do. Everybody collects mugs like crazy because it's, again, like one of those things where you're like, oh, I want a souvenir, and there's always a mug nearby with a picture or something on it. And so you throw it in the bag and you go, oh, man, I remember Disneyland. I was drinking out of this. But we have so many goddamn mugs. Like, how am I supposed to run through all of these memories now? And plus, who cares about mugs? Now that you've got like insulated tumblers, I never want to use a mug again.
I know. I got this on a whim because it's a small business, and then I was like, all right. So I got it, and like, well, I have this one that actually keeps my coffee cold for 8 hours because I don't drink it all at once. But
Cold?
Coffee warm, hot.
Warm, hot.
Now my coffee's cold already because it's open, but
Right, and that's the thing about these things. It's like back in the old days when you were sitting around a campfire or whatever, or going to a Bill Johnson's Big Apple, you had no choice but, right, mug memories. Big Sam knows what I'm talking about.
hashtag mug memories.
Hashtag mug memories. But yeah, that's the thing. Like when you had nothing but the ceramic mug, you had to take it, and that was it. But now, stuff will keep it hot for 9, 10, 12, 14 hours. You can pour it in the morning, wake
For
up,
days.
spend the day at work, go home, go to sleep, forget that you left your coffee on the counter and take a sip and you'll still burn your tongue.
That's one thing that I do appreciate about mugs. I do not like burning my tongue at the first sip of my coffee. So that's one thing that I appreciate with a mug because it instantly cools it down.
Right, but then your window of drinking it before it becomes like, what is it about hot beverages that when they lose temperature, they just become unappealing? Like, and this may just be psychologically, but I feel like they become thicker or something. Something happens to them.
Yeah.
And you go, ugh.
They get not like a film, but it feels like
Sometimes, like hot chocolate will get a film.
yeah, it feels gives weird mouth feels.
Yeah, it's like a gross Campbell soup tomato skin going across your coffee.
Yeah.
And if you put butter in it like I do, it goes.
Ugh. Yeah.
It can go hard over the top pretty quick.
Yeah.
But whatever.
In Japan, they call it cat tongue when you can't handle hot liquids. Oh, all right. I have a cat
tongue?
Can cats not do hot things?
I guess.
Probably.
I mean, it's also a cultural thing. So if there's something attached to it, I don't think I'm going to get it. But yeah, people here like it pretty cool. I think like for whatever reason, the Keurig is the hottest available coffee out there. Because every coffee machine that you have, that's a drip coffee machine, it's not that hot. But Keurig will pipe it out at like right around boiling temperature. Because I feel like they understand the idea that a mug is going to kill it, so they want to give it to you like at such a level that it could kill you possibly.
I guess. I mean, back how many years ago was that whole big thing with
The McDonald's thing?
Yeah.
It's like 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
It was like 1982.
So
a
now
woman
they
spills hot coffee at herself. She showers herself with it.
So now all the coffee places don't make the coffee like ridiculously hot. I mean, they make it hot enough. Starbucks makes it pretty hot.
It just needs to be hot enough to get the brown into the water. My problem with coffee is how weak everybody makes it. There are very few places that'll really have some balls in their coffee, and not literally. But I want it to be, and maybe, whatever. I'm one of these people who goes to coffee for the coffee flavor. I'm not one of those people who goes like, oh, I want some caramel or some chocolate or some sea salt or whatever. Like the coffee flavor is what I'm going to it for. So I want you to really beef that shit up. Like I overfill my coffee, and everybody goes, oh my God, it's so bitter. Oh my God. Anyway, should we watch some commercials? I feel like this is a very boring conversation. I don't want to get philosophical because those are boring, and I don't have much going on otherwise. But I bet he does coffee.
Coffee.
I bet he does. The Church of Quad. They always have coffee and donuts after their services, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not funny because you can't see that I'm saying coffee, C-A-W. So yeah, I guess let's do some commercials, right? Those are fun. Everybody loves them. Oh
Where's
gosh.
Joe?
I don't know. Let me get everything going here. We got a bunch of 90s. It's 1992 to 1997.
It's a good time.
It's a good time to be alive.
Between 4 and 9.
Redefining beautiful.
Tell me if this is too loud because I'm worried all the time because no one will tell me whether it is or not.
Yeah. Typing
And then
square.
afterwards I go, oh, that was way too loud. No one said anything. What is happening?
In a world of sweeping changes,
In a world.
there is one certainty.
Is this
The financial
Kiefer
strength of
Sutherland's
the
dad?
Prudential, rock solid in
I don't know his name.
securities, insurance,
Donald?
and
Donald
Donald
Sutherland?
Sutherland.
Maybe
When
not.
most jeans makers look at women, they see men.
Ugh.
I need jeans with a
Yeah.
little more room in the hips.
These
Why else would they
old
keep
commercials
trying to
were
sell
hilarious.
men's
I worked
jeans
at
to
Old
women?
Navy
More.
for a little while, and while I was there, they had this big new thing where they offered the women's jeans that had 3 completely different butt types. And so we had all these pictures of all these butts all over the store. because we had to label, you know, the signage had to show you like, oh, is this your ass? Here's how to cover it.
Yep.
And I'll be damned, like people went apeshit for Old Navy jeans.
Yeah, I don't know how many pairs because I had the hip butt problem, so I had to get the curvy Old Navy jeans. And
nobody else doing it at the time? I don't understand.
It's the only place that I got jeans that fit when I was like between high school and college, because I was like a stick. I was so skinny in high school and I had no hips, nothing. I was like a olive oil. And then I went to college and my whole body changed, and I was like, well, I need to find jeans that fit and don't have that stupid gap in the back. And it was just,
I never got over the first stage. Like it was
that's
always
fine, though.
My legs were always too long.
You don't need bigger hips.
No, but it would be nice to have something to fucking rest my waist, my pants on.
Well, I like a little looser fit.
Butt types, am I right, folks?
Baked Salmon worked
We
in the
make
Sears
jeans that
men's
fit the
department.
unique contours of a
Oh,
woman's
we're gonna have to talk about that sometime.
relaxed fit jeans.
It's time to make an appointment, Scuttle.
I want to move this so I can see the.
Trust me, I'm a doctor. Oh, sorry.
I'm a doctor.
Oops, crap. There we go. I want to see the chat. Working at the Old Navy, not to go off topic of Dr. Giggles here, but working at that Old Navy was a trip because it was a weird time to be alive. It was like mid 2010-ish era or something. It feels like a lifetime ago. And because we were giving away iPod Nanos on Black Friday.
Wow.
That's how old it is.
Great pictures anywhere.
I don't know. I moved here in 2011. And I met you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the 2010 era, I mean from 2000 to 2010.
Oh,
I realize I did not explain
it.
that correctly.
Got it.
But it was in that decade. I cannot pin it down as to when.
Magnavox. They're smart, very smart.
Very smart.
I miss these old Toyota pickups. Even the smallest truck now is the size of an F-150 from 15 years ago.
Aren't they? Isn't the Ranger?
The Ranger is huge. Like,
Yeah.
it used to be that nice little thing, and now it's like ginormous. I miss having just like a nice little truck. But I'm in the minority.
Yeah.
You can still get motorcycles small. That's nice. But if you wanted to, you can get some 1,100-pound beast.
California's kids are counting on you.
I think the Goldwing's like 1,600 pounds. I wouldn't mind getting one of those, though. You can get... I'm going to pause this for a second so I can talk about the Goldwing. You can find an early and / late model Goldwing, and those engines will go for 100 to 200,000 miles because they're essentially just car engines. You can pick up one of those things that it must have cost 30 grand due to inflation today for like 3 grand right now.
Wow.
Heated seats and grips and all the technology in the world. And it's simply because the only people who buy those are so near death, like the Goldwing or, you know, whatever. Every maker has their equivalent of those huge touring bikes.
Yeah.
But the Goldwing is still king, and I did not mean for that to rhyme, but it still stands. I would love to get a Goldwing. And for 3 grand, you can find something with 20,000 miles on it, which is like barely broken in.
Yeah, my grandfather used to have a Goldwing.
The Japanese have to keep everything small because they're so packed together. And Americans haven't had to... obviously, you're from here, but I feel like since we don't have any real space constraints, aside from like the big cities, like out here, we've got parking lots. And I know back east, you guys don't have shit, but you didn't realize how big the country was when people were coming over here. And out here, we have room to stretch. So I feel like everything is just bloating. I would love one of those tiny little box trucks that you see, the Daihatsus.
Mm-hmm.
Those are cute. Or a little mini, a Fiat. But I got to wait until at least the kid's big enough that he can get out of his car seat, because there's no way.
No.
He's like sitting in the back of a Fiat, or I'll tie him to the top of a smart car maybe.
Yeah.
But still, Goldwing. If I ever have 3 grand burn a hole in my pocket. Damn. Get one with a tape deck. Listen to Rat, the Scorpions. I don't get why Michael Landon was so interesting. Like, even until I was nearly an adult, they'd be like, Michael Landon in those tabloids. I'm like, why? Who cares?
Is he an actor?
Yeah, he was on Little House on the Prairie.
Oh.
That's all I know about him, really.
That's
He was an actor. Yeah, families are noisy, am I right? Bye, Subaru.
Family car is for my family, not some other family I don't care so much about. Tell me I have the money. I want
other family.
Do you guys remember, and of course you do, but when Subaru was like hitting the Australian fever, and it was Paul Hogan who was all over those commercials?
Oh, Michael Landon was on Bonanza. That's probably why he was so popular.
Oh yeah, he was on Highway to Heaven too. Yeah, he was in a bunch of different stuff. But I just don't understand why he died young. I get that, or whatever. Maybe it was mysterious. I never looked into it. He's no Bob Crane, I imagine. You know who Bob Crane is?
Negative.
It was the guy from Hogan's Heroes. Long story short, there's a bunch of fun documentaries out there about him because it is a wild case, but he was the star of Hogan's Heroes. After that went off the air, he did dinner theaters, and it turns out he was a sex pervert and got his head smashed in, maybe by his best friend, maybe not, who knows?
Question mark?
Allegedly, this,
Allegedly.
that, like they people of interest in what, but it's a wild story. And this guy was making sex tapes. You had to use 16 millimeter film and stuff. Yeah, he's no Bob Crane. I mean, I assume. I don't know anything about Michael Landon.
Mother said not to throw rocks.
Don't throw rocks. Look, when we see this Jeep, it's going to look like the ones they still sell today.
Mother never
They
had
haven't changed much.
I can't, but Jeep people are like bike dudes. Like Jeeps have a culture, and it's only because it's like Harleys. They haven't changed the way they've looked in 150 years. So like Wrangler dudes are just as intense as bike dudes, but you don't see it as much. Or at least I don't think I do. But it's equally fervent.
Well, you can tell when there's like a Jeep gang going on or a Jeep meeting because they all are like riding together, like 24 of them driving down the highway.
Well, you can see Jeep dudes wave at each other, but like on bikes it's easier because we're all exposed, so we're throwing at the high side or whatever. But Jeep dudes do that too. Like there's the whole little. It would be like if minivans had their own thing, but
Well, it's funny.
it feels
So
weird that Jeeps are the ones
I
that
don't
do
know. You
it.
could probably pause this, maybe. So I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups for like our local towns and stuff, and this woman posted a picture of another Range Rover, that was like bedazzled pink, like bright ass pink, and she's like, "I need to know who this person is." And I'm looking through
So
the
I can
comments
murder them. Why?
because they both had the same exact pink color. Like it was a whole thing. They had the same exact
They're
thing.
car twins.
Yeah, and so they figured out who it was because people were like, "Oh, it's this person." And then there's a whole group. There's a page for just Range Rover women in Range Rovers or whatever in the valley.
Well, yeah,
It's incredible.
Everything has its own niche. So I'm sure there are like minivan groups out there, but like there are some things that are so big that they are no longer niche.
Right.
Like the Jeep and the bike thing, like that culture that I know of them is at least big enough to break through to my numb nuts. Because like I am, unless you're paying attention to it or like, diving into deep Facebook groups or whatever, you wouldn't know. But yeah, there's a million of them. Like when I was younger, and I still am to this day, but when I first fell in love with the vintage Volkswagen Beetles and buses and stuff, like there'd be meetups all over the valley, and they've slowly died out. But that was still big too, pop culturally. That's pretty much gone. Like you never see slug bugs anymore.
I know. I had a model of one that was like hippie. It was like designed with like hippie shit on it. I loved it. I love Beatles.
Hippie stuff.
Women's golf champion.
I couldn't afford to
Feels
lose
like
a
the
golf
play
tournament.
school of culture
Diarrhea.
visually.
I needed relief.
Ooh, Kaopecte. She's a lady golfer who has diarrhea. I eat too many burritos on the golf course.
I have ideas.
Well, this is Kaopectate 2, Return of the Killer
The only thing
Diarrhea.
I worried about were the sand traps.
Trust new Kaopectate.
I would wear brown shorts if I were golfing and I had diarrhea. Not shorts, pants, obviously. Is this a good idea? Brown diarrhea pants that at the bottom of the legs, there are cuffs on the inside that'll catch any liquid or solid matter that escapes.
Gross.
Huh? Think about it. Like a scrunchy style bungee opening. If you stick your feet through, they'll look like normal dress pants or whatever, corduroys. I'll do whatever. But we put a waterproof lining with a nice ankle sealant. You know, you can take your diarrhea to the golf course again.
What about the smell?
After they open the tile nice to the driving range, a lot more accidents. Oh, could you imagine? You know those big golf arenas that have like 2 or 3 stories of people just hitting golf balls?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine a Taco Bell opening up next to that and just like the wave of diarrhea, people having pratfalls and slipping off. Like, just constantly, like you're swinging, you see a guy go, whoa, and he's just like followed by a little rainbow of diarrhea. Oh. Not a rainbow, like a cascade, a waterfall, if you will. Might be a rainbow. I don't know what he ate. Ugh, bug killing commercials have always gone out of their way to fuck with you. Those horrible Orkin commercials where like man-sized bugs were fucking showing up, asking to borrow your phone, or like, ugh. Those are dark days.
Unless your home's under the
Roach
care and
clips.
protection of Ortho.
This is a compliment for Jill
Yeah, we
Pill.
need Jill Pill in here.
Ortho is part of Chevron? You
We're
never-
banking on your neighborhood.
Across the board,
We're getting wood.
Home Depot has lowered the price of home improvement.
Right
Yeah, I
now,
get it.
you can get 21
The board.
extra bags
That's
of
where, yeah.
groceries into a Dodge Caravan.
Remember paper bags, anybody?
Or 14 extra family pass. Or almost enough extra equipment for a Pee Wee League football team.
Almost.
Because for the price of a regular Caravan, you can
Oh
get
my
a
God.
Grand Caravan. That's 25 extra.
These old-timey caravans that were shaped like dented Starburst packages.
Space
Oh.
at no extra charge for savings up to $26.50 during the Dodge.
Everybody
Award
had one
Celebration
too.
Sale.
Holy
Because
shit.
the only
Everybody had a Dodge Caravan and or the doppelgangers of the Chevy Astro or the GMC Safari.
Yeah, my best friend at the time had the Grand Caravan, and it was like a emerald green or a forest green color, and it's like at least back east that or like a gross beige were like the 2 colors you had.
Like all your options for like hauling kids around back in the 80s or 90s were like these big shoebox shaped pieces of garbage that came in beige or white, and if you got like went really crazy, you could find one that had like a nice blue pinstripe on it that was like the width of a curly red hair.
My dad
better
used to
than America's
pinstripe all of his
best-selling
new
minivan.
cars.
There's more of it.
But he would
Pinstripes are
lease them.
crazy.
He'd lease the cars, get like the skinniest pinstripe that you can't see unless you're looking for it.
Yeah, when I worked at a dealership, they would have a dude who would come by and they'd select, you know, whatever the luxury model of each, or luxury version of each model was, and he'd roll through and put some pinstripes on them. So I'd run out and take a look, and they were always like microns thick. Like I was more impressed at the skill of how they went on there, were nice and sharp and flat, but so goddamn thin. But then I go, what the fuck are we doing here? Like if I were gonna put stripes on anything, they'd be big as hell because you want to see them. But I also like gaudy shit, so you know what do I know? Ugh, Entenmann's always bleh. Because they had to bake it or whatever they had to add to make it last on the shelf so long, it always tasted like you were always eating like Play-Doh to me.
Still make you feel like this.
There was one that my best friend's mom at the time used to get all the time, and it had like it was like the cheese Danishy one.
Yeah.
It was good though when I was
Their
in high
coffee
school.
cake and all their. I mean, when I was a kid, yeah, I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'll eat whatever is sweet. But
Right.
looking back and remembering that mouthfeel now, it's just like, oh.
grapefruit drink that's actually sweet? Yeah. Ocean Spray
Hey,
Ruby
we
Red
added sugar to grapefruit juice. Then
It's got a
drink it up,
sweet
you
taste that's
dummy.
really different. If this is grapefruit juice, this is sweeter
Hey,
Ruby
grapefruit
Red.
juice goes in my favorite
Surprisingly
drink,
sweet
a
Ocean Spray
Greyhound.
Ruby Red.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Shelley, guess what?
Whoa,
4
Craig
out
T.
of 5
Nelson.
people are just like me.
Why? Do they need babysitters too?
No, in a taste test,
Come on,
4 out
Coach.
of 5 people preferred healthy favorites over healthy choices non-fat cream cheese product, just like me.
So there's brains to go with those good
In
looks.
regards to products
You don't need
with
brains to be
healthy
like
on
me,
the
just
cover.
taste.
It doesn't take a genius to know that healthy favorites taste better.
I knew you'd see it my way.
Kraft Healthy Favorites reduce
I
fat
kind
cheese.
of
It
miss
just tastes
hilariously bad dialogue spoken to camera like no human would ever speak.
Each year, a shipment of school supplies arrives at community colleges
That
nationwide.
veneer of like, oh, we're just a family. Who wants it? Hey, Athena, welcome to the show.
Hey.
We're watching commercials and going on wild
On
tangents.
cars and
Yes.
trucks supplied by Ford. So they can give you a level of service at our dealerships.
You drive through the classroom?
Ford and Lincoln Mercury.
Oh, everybody had a bland period too. Like the 80s and 90s, we saw a lot of like the 80s Mustang. Oh, and even some of it even stuck around till the 2000s. If you were alive and aware of the Ford 500, that was a slice of white bread sans butter. It was so mediocre. Like it was ice milk. It wasn't even like vanilla ice cream. It was like non-fat, unflavored ice milk. Kept it around for like 2 or 3 years. Ugh. It was like the equivalent of sitting in a wagon with a motor on it. It was so boring.
My
Day
dad
after
had a
day, you make those glasses of
Z28
thick
Camaro.
Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all
Ah, it's
disappear
still-
with Fibercon?
It was really nice. It was like a
Doctor
maroon
recommended Fibercon
color.
gives you this-
I never rode in it. He never really rode it. It was
Well,
just
yeah,
in
'cause
the garage.
Okay, that's the thing I don't get about car collectors. The ones that basically haul them all over the place in a trailer or whatever. Like, I would get that to drive around. It's all going to be dust eventually anyway. Like, start dropping Jaws. These dudes who just take their babies from car show to car show. Like, I get it if you want to, if you've blown hundreds of your own hours and money and time into it. I get that. Okay. It's like a ship in a bottle. But I would want to like rub it in people's faces. Like, if you're going to have that status symbol, why not stroll through a main street super slow or do
Yeah.
whatever? But you hardly ever see that unless it's like an orchestrated thing.
Yeah, no, he didn't even do that. He never brought it anywhere. Every once in a while, like I think he would drive it just to have it get some miles. But he like it was just he washed it, waxed it. It was like his weekly thing. He washed all the
Yeah.
cars, did all the shit.
Well, you know, people like, I get that, but it seems like.
But
they're-
he's the one who would lease a car, and then in a
Yeah,
year
yeah,
get
yeah.
another one.
But I like to get them like to get them, meaning these fancy ass cars that these dudes and ladies do or whatever fancy thing, like to sit there and not use it seems such a bummer to me.
Yeah,
Like
it's like a waste.
if by the grace of God I somehow lucked into $1 zillion and got myself a Dodge Viper, like a classic 94 RT10 or a Ferrari or a Lambo or whatever, like I would be rip roaring all over the goddamn place. Because when are you going to get the opportunity to get another one and make this one your backup so
Right.
you always, have that safety net if you want to whatever. But like those things are made to be rocked up and down the street.
Yeah.
Like leader bikes exist because dudes love and ladies, but to a lesser extent, but people love to go fast. They want 1,000 cc's and 200 horsepower. Yeah, no plan. I know I have no plan for the show, Alan. Sorry, we just showed up. You can see the FiberCon commercial. We were interrupting to have this divergence. So let's get back to the commercials, I guess.
Nice to see you,
Nice
Alan.
to see you, Alan.
Easy to swallow
Thanks
tablets.
for showing up.
Doctor recommended Fibercon.
It's the 90s here all day.
Spot a cute boy at 150 yards. He's finding a tomato that gives her trouble.
Whirlpool thinks
What?
anybody should be able to find anything they need in a refrigerator.
Oh, this is where they introduced lights into refrigerators. Wasn't until 1993.
This Whirlpool refrigerator has see-through vents, shelves that slide, and upfront lighting.
Isn't this insane? These are all like standard features now.
Whirlpool.
Yeah. Now they have touchscreen crap on a refrigerator.
If I said I found a breakfast that helps keep me going strong all morning.
It's so great. These commercials remind us of one thing over and over again: is the high tide lifts all ships. Everything you see in a 90s commercial that is touted as like a piece of modern technology that will make your life an endless treasure trove of pleasure because of the sheer time and convenience of it. Like, we all just have that shit now. Like, the car I drive has every feature that I dreamt about and never thought I would get literally 5 years ago. You can hear the bug zapper going on. It's spring, right? Spring is sprung and the bugs get in the house.
Hello, David and Krista. This is Alan.
Hello. But yeah, that's the thing. That's another reason I love watching these 90s commercials, is because they really outline just how great everybody has it now, and how in 5 years we're all going to have the things we're drooling about right now.
You'd say that's some discovery. Well, it was for me. It's breakfast with grape
Oh,
nuts.
grape nuts has
I
never
tried
gotten
for a
any
week
better,
to see
though.
how
No.
good you'll feel all morning. Well, you know what? I feel great. Turns out, grape nuts is a fat-free,
One person
natural
I knew
energy
had
source,
grape nuts in
and
their
it
home.
tastes
It
so
was my
good,
grandmother,
so
and it was the
hearty.
same box for the
Really,
entire
you
30
gotta
years I
try
knew
it.
her.
Give it a week yourself.
Breakfast with post
Sometimes I'd reach in and you know what that taste when grains go bad? They kind of like that mildewy.
Tastes like the cardboard that they're in.
Yeah, like a little bit of cardboard, and there's like a little bit of wetness to it. There's no longer that crunch, and it just feels like you're biting into a dry sponge.
Yeah.
I'd get doped into that every year or so.
What would you get if you squeezed the refreshing flavor?
Real quick, my other grandma kept what must have been only one bottle, but felt like gallon upon gallon of Pine Sol in the same cupboard as all the breakfast cereals and stuff.
Athena liked them.
Like what?
Grape nuts.
I'm not saying that people didn't, obviously, because Post made millions of dollars on it. It's just one of those things that missed me completely.
Yeah.
But back to my thing. So my grandma had Pine Sol and loved the shit out of it. I still love the smell of it to this day because it draws the memory. But there would be boxes of Captain Crunch and their kitty cereal that would only get eaten on sleepovers. So it would be weeks sometime at a time to soak up all the pine smell and flavor. So oftentimes my peanut butter Captain Crunch was peanut butter Pine Sol, and it was
oh, not so great.
no. And then here's the other thing too. One time, because it was only because it was sometimes weeks apart, we'd have a slumber party over at my grandma's house and get to watch fucking cable for once. But I was pouring it out, and like halfway through the bowl, I found the skin of a mealworm-looking bug.
Blech.
So like something had shed and left this long chitinous worm-like carapace.
Gross.
I was like, oh my God, why me? Because again, those were probably 6 months old peanut butter Captain Crunch at the time.
This orange
Tastes like Pine Sol.
into a nice plump Sunsweet prune. You get delicious new Sunsweet orange essence or lemon essence fitted prunes.
I feel like a lot of people were concerned with how they were going to shit back in the 90s. Pectate prunes? Like, how many prunes?
Raisin Bran. We had Raisin Bran at our house.
Yeah. We always had the fad cereal of the week when there was a coupon.
He was stubborn.
If you were a kid in the 90s or had a childlike sense of wonder in the 90s, you had your choice of eating tiny versions of French toast, cinnamon rolls, waffles, cookies, anything and everything they could shrink down and put into a cereal they did. And I ate them all because they all had coupons.
Just wouldn't go away.
Favorites was Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs.
You should have seen the relief.
Dear
I used to
God.
mix those with Cocoa Puffs.
That would destroy my ass today.
His kind of indigestion needed strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine.
Here we are again.
Strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Also
People
available
shitting
in
themselves throughout the
tablets.
90s. I don't remember.
What's that antacid?
It says anti-gas and anti-diarrhea as well.
Wow.
Oh, look, this cat's going to give this guy's toxoplasmosis. Look at He's like, the parasites.
A doctor can give you
in my brain.
from Tavist 1
And now Tavis 1 is available without a prescription.
What?
Just 1 milligram of its potent antihistamine relieves your worst allergy symptoms for 12 straight
I can't help but think, what happened to these old pills now, right? Because Claritin popped, and now I feel like everybody knows Claritin and Allegra. I've never heard of this. No. So I wonder what happens when shit falls out of favor. Like, do we just find something cheaper, or do we just get fed up with the side effects of like anal leakage and want to like gamble?
Tavis 1 and Tavis D. 1 tablet, 12
hey,
hours,
Joe.
and now
What's up, Joe? Welcome to our 90s commercial party.
The killer was eating cookies. That's right. But my client
Oh,
doesn't
Fig
eat
Newtons.
cookies. She eats Fig Newtons.
A Newton is fruit and cake, dear boy.
A cookie is just a cookie, but Newtons are fruit and cake.
That was their claim to fame. You had to like figs, though.
I liked Fig Newtons a lot.
When they came out with the blueberry and the strawberries, then I was okay.
Yeah.
Figs. I was like, what? It's not the 30s anymore, Grandpa.
With the Bonneville, I got everything I wanted.
I would.
Airbag,
Right now, I would love to drive a Bonneville, like a 90s or early 2000s era, like big ass. One of my favorite cars was a Chevy Lumina, a 95 Chevy Lumina. Had a huge front bench seat. Just like fucking, it was like driving a boat on land. I call it the 5.0. It was white. It looked like a giant police car on steroids. One of the funnest cars ever. Like classic old-timey big like vinyl steering wheel with a big side shifter, so I could be like, get in the 5.0, and I go, Winnie. Crazy. But I miss front bench seats, but they were not safe by any stretch of the imagination, but they were comfortable as hell. And let's be honest, most of us are going to spend more time wanting to be comfortable on a bench seat than ever flying through a windshield.
That's true. Athena gave you your answer about meds. When it comes out of patent, another company buys it and releases it as a generic.
There we go. So I guess Tavis, Tim, whatever that was.
Whatever it was. Went to Claritin, maybe.
Mind me asking?
It was 10, 20,000 less than the BMW.
Here's the thing about these things, though. Since they are so big, the gas mileage was abysmal.
I like it.
But back then, gas was like $1, so I didn't care.
Now it's Red Lobster's world of lobster, succulent rock lobster, and Maine lobster.
You know, the 2 lobsters that we have access to in the world.
2 of
Hurry to
them.
Red Lobster's world of lobster.
Tomorrow morning on Today, an exclusive interview with Frank Zappa.
Whoa, he was still alive.
Last call on Cheers plus Bob Hope's 90th birthday. So join us tomorrow
Oh
morning.
my God, Bob Hope. They kept him in front of the camera for far too long, I think.
It not only corners better than the BMW 535i, but it rides smoother. Of course, if you still insist on feeling
Oh, you know what? Here's this thing too. So this car reminds me of the Mayflower. If you're not familiar with the Mayflower, the lore of this show, the Mayflower was a 1999 Camry that I inherited. And that fucking thing ran like a top. It had like almost 300,000 miles on it. And I kept it around forever. It's just nice to have a beater car. Like if you ever have the luxury, it's like having 2 Ferraris. But if you ever have the luxury of lucking into or just like buying a $500 car that you do not give a shit about, that you can park anywhere as long as the AC works or whatever, and it's reasonably safe, that is the funnest time you'll ever have on the road because you're not worried about getting dings. Like, it's basically like come get me world, and that's what the Mayflower was. The creaking reminded me of an old pirate ship, and just like an old pirate ship, I didn't care if you ran into it because you might scrape some barnacles off.
That's true.
And then, stupid, the insurance was nothing, the registration was nothing. And someone's like, oh, so-and-so needs a car. And I was like, whatever. I can use $500 or whatever it was, and immediately threw a rod and killed it. That thing could have gone for another 250,000 miles, I guarantee, because there are so many of them still on the road today.
I don't know.
Every day. No, it's not I don't know. I see them all the time on the road. Every day I drive to work, I'm guaranteed to see at least 2 or 3.
Well, that's fine. It probably would have needed a lot of work, though.
No, it's just you couldn't you had to treat it like a car with 300,000 miles on it. Yeah. You couldn't stomp on the gas because like with all old things, people especially, like if you see a old dude on a walker and you tell him to run as fast as he can immediately, he's going to blow himself apart. That's if you will acquiesce to your your inquiry.
Be our guest.
Still, fucking Camry, man, 4-cylinder, bulletproof.
The price is within reach too.
Closed captioning made possible by the California Lottery.
They're actually paying for
Why
something.
is being your own boss called the American dream?
Because if I'm going to work hard for someone, I want it to be myself.
If I work hard for the money, it's going to be my money.
Be in business for yourself. Come to the Franchise and Business Opportunity Show this weekend. In
I thought
one
this
day,
was
you can see a
California.
wide variety of opportunities that could put you in a successful business of your own.
This guy's hitting from Jersey.
Franchises, distributorships, home businesses.
Hey, this is how
See them all
Marge
this
got into the
weekend
pretzel
at the
business,
Santa
am I
Clara
right?
Convention Center. Don't miss it.
The Fleta Pita opportunity is yours if you grab it.
With most diets, you're totally preoccupied.
That's
with
the
food.
actual Jenny
Planning,
Craig. I forgot she was an
shopping,
actual
cooking. At
person.
Jenny Craig, it's all done for you, so you get to focus
Like, I
on
feel like at this
learning the
point
new
she's never
habits
been
that
a
will
real.
help you manage
It's like
your health
Wendy's,
long-term.
even though that was Dave Thomas's real daughter.
You'll start
You go, huh?
practicing
Was there a
those
Wendy?
habits,
That was really-
planning some of
Yeah.
your meals. You'll
Maybe
even get
that's
to
her
enjoy
daughter.
some of your old favorites. Clients tell me losing weight's never been so delicious.
Call us right now and lose all you want for our lowest price ever. Just a $19 program.
We'll never stop you from losing weight. That's the Jenny Craig promise.
The Ross store-wide clearance. Prices have been reduced dramatically throughout the
Kmart
store.
gone.
Great savings
Sears
for men,
gone.
women,
Ross?
and kids.
Hell yeah.
The Ross
You could still buy the same shorts that were on sale during this commercial.
I didn't know Ross existed in the 90s.
Oh my god.
We didn't. They're not. I don't think they're back east. And if they were,
I bought so much stupidly fitting and obviously disgustingly colored clothing at a Ross because $2 for most of this shit. What's Joe saying?
Imagine Dave at a red light with one of those cars next to him yelling, "Hey, what's your mileage? I have to know."
Seriously, like if I still had the Mayflower, I would do a grassroots, like, let's do the same thing that Jeeps and bikes do bullshit movement. I'd be like giving high signs to every, let's say between 98 and 2002, Camry I came across. Because holy shit, those things are like the rocks of Gibraltar.
store-wide clearance now.
There's something about coming home to the neighborhood that makes you feel good.
Getting hit by the paperboy.
You just know you live in the right place. There are people working in your neighborhood who feel the same way. The experienced people of San Francisco Federal.
Remember when you didn't have to stay 6 feet away from people? And now you desperately want to?
Safe place for savings and by securing family homes. Quality and confidence.
Well, we had Kmart's out here,
Yeah,
Joe, so.
we had Bradley's back east. I don't know if Joe, if Massachusetts had Bradley's, but
America what
that
they
was like
wanted in an
Kmart.
all-you-can-eat breakfast.
I want more than just a lot of food.
I want a lot of choices.
Bacon, pancakes, and eggs any way I want. The whole shooting match.
How else can you order a pancake, numbnuts?
Bacon crisp.
What I need for you to like really rethink breakfast. Like we've had the same breakfast we're going on 200,000 years, like eggs, bacon, and toast. But how can you make it my breakfast? Like this was the start of the downfall of humanity. Everybody had to have it their fucking way. Just eat your fucking eggs. Go to Denny's and order your eggs.
Bring it to me. Thanks.
They do that at Denny's.
America
Denny's.
is a new all-you-can-eat Grand Slam breakfast menu. Only at Denny's.
$3.99. Jesus Christ.
I wonder how much it is now.
For the engineers building LA's Metro Rail,
Nine?
the goal isn't to
$9.99?
just
That
build
sounds
a
right.
system that carries 200,000
Have a good night, Athena.
today.
Thank you for showing up.
Good
We
luck at
appreciate
your
it.
market
Since
tomorrow.
it takes
Oh, yeah, good luck.
2,000
I'm sure I'll
phone calls
text
a day
you.
to keep the project on track, Pacific Bell connected the Metro's 6 engineering firms to Centrex, the only phone system that's maintained 24 hours a day at Pacific Bell.
When you want to talk to someone, you're going to have to stand by a wall to do it. It's the 90s. So pick your
Just how
favorite is what
far
I'm getting
will a
at.
dime go at Safeway?
So I got that phone.
It'll get you all
Got
the
that phone
golden
over there.
delicious
It's off
apples
camera.
you want for 10 cents each. Sweet, juicy Valencia oranges.
Okay, this reminds me of the. If you're not a fan of Mr. Show, you should be, because this reminds me of the Fairsley Foods, and what was the other one? These two competing grocery stores, and the joke I'm going to ruin. What I'm going to tell you is look up the Fairsley Foods ad on YouTube, because I swear it's there. This shit is
And
hilarious.
fresh, juicy limes.
You eventually get to
just
see
10
Brian
cents
Posehn in a
each.
diaper.
Pick up all the russet potatoes, green onions, and zucchini squash you want.
Yeah, I
10
have
cents
no
each.
context
Even
clues for
ruby
Bradley's.
grapefruit are
Yeah, I
just
think
a
they were
dime
just
each. So stop
the
by
East Coast.
during our 10-cent
Yeah,
produce
they-
sale.
It's like a White Castle's for me over here.
Yeah, we used
Until I
to go
got to
there
Chicago.
all the time, and then they closed because Kmart was better, and So, and Caldor. I don't know if you had Caldors here. I'm being told that's where Nick got her first Furby. Yeah,
Well, we're on a roll.
It was basically a Ross.
Furbies. I feel like Furbies have become a role so random.
I hated my Furby.
Everybody did. That's why you got them. People bought them to horrify themselves because we love to mess with ourselves. Oh, I can't remember how much Snoopy used to deliver checks to people. Yeah, he was doing it all the time. Him in Woodstock.
Sweet meets tangy. New Honey Dijon.
New.
From the kitchens of KC Masterpiece.
Nobody makes fajitas taste like the new fajitas at El Torito. While others use frozen chicken, we use fresh, plump breasts of chicken.
We never ever freeze it.
El Torito uses only fresh, juicy skirt steak. We use 7 fresh garden vegetables, sauteed in...
That's the thing I don't get. Like, how can you make that claim? At some point, it had to have been frozen. There's no way, given the speed of production and, like, trucking and whatever,
Right.
you're going to kill a chicken or a cow and be like, never freeze this thing. Go, 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 go. So you got to, like, butcher it and package it and ship it all before it goes horribly wrong without freezing it. I think it's a conspiracy.
Spices of the Yucatan. And we're so proud of our new fajitas, we'll give you our guacamole appetizer free.
We'll make it right in front of your face to prove it's real. Now, that guacamole would cost you an extra $17. And you'd have to tip the person making it.
She did X-rated videos.
When it came down to the making love scenes, that came natural.
Now Heather Hunter is going from porn to pop music, and she's telling E.T. how she's making this giant jump.
And it worked out great. I totally remember her.
Plus Jurassic Park.
The
Get an
making
exclusive
love
first peek
scenes.
behind the scenes of Spielberg's truly mammoth new film.
I wonder how that's going to be. Anyone want to take bets? Or how it'll end up?
When it comes to buying a home in California, you
Don't.
need every advantage. Like a credit card that earns a 5% rebate toward buying, refinancing, even helping the kids.
What?
Introducing the California Advantage, only from Wells Fargo. Every purchase earns a 5% rebate toward a home loan. Apply now, 1-800-547-WELLS.
You need a credit card
For
because
brand of credit card.
even in the 90s, it was fucking expensive to buy a house in California.
Yeah, they offered like a credit card that had gifts for all comers, and that was one of them.
Who cares? That's absolutely right.
Oh my God, is that? Oh my God, I can't remember his name now. Andy something or other. God damn it.
You won a party at Harvey's
I think he's a very funny comedian. It pisses me off. I can't remember his name. Andy Kindler. Andy Kindler.
all for just $69 a night.
Hey, how'd you guys get in here anyways?
He's very funny.
So remember,
Who
folks,
cares?
your parties at Harvey's.
Whoa. You were rich enough to own a CD in the 90s?
It's never been your style to live like anyone else, so I start now. The American Dimensions collection from Ethan Allen. Eclectic and most agreeably priced. For people who really love to live at home. Right now, there's
That's like a huge fucking mansion in California? Sure, yeah.
Can the Malvins spot the best prime rib value from this lineup?
Nope.
Whoa, was that Val Kilmer?
Nope. What are you, nuts?
Look at how insane this camera work is. It's like almost kind of like a Guar music video. I feel like this is almost like Grambo.
$7.99. And why not add golden fried shrimp for just
Why not?
Golden fried cashews.
Tonight, enjoy great prime rib at
Look at how much shit is on top of this bitch's head.
Bound George Crest Royals,
God.
Tuesday at 5:30.
Kayla!
Dinosaurs are coming back bigger than ever.
Me too,
Dynamite.
Me too, Caleb, but I still don't have a CD player in my damn car, which is very upsetting.
No comeback for Bob Hope.
Yeah, one hasn't grown in. You with it?
Pornos. Says bye bye
What?
blue movies. Hello pop music. As Entertainment Tonight covers the beat for Thursday, May 13th, 1993.
Who is this person? I feel like I should look her up and see how much material she put out after porn.
out there doing things to have fun.
This is like a natural athlete.
That's his dream house. The trampoline, skateboard ramp. He'll probably have a swimming pool there someday.
Your dream house includes a trampoline and a skateboard ramp, and you just buy those after the fact, guys.
No one else is like Anton. Kind of psycho and kind of dangerous.
Where's my goddamn Juicy Fruit commercials? I feel like I've done a million of these fucking commercial watch things, and I've not seen one goddamn Juicy Fruit commercial. Even a Dr. Pepper one I'd take where they sing the song.
When was Double Mint? I don't think we saw a Double Mint gum commercial either.
Well, it's the same Wrigley's. We're not seeing anything Wrigley's.
Visa provides so many services you really don't need.
No Big Red.
Nope.
They were very pleasant. Citibank didn't put me
Pleasant.
on hold forever, which a lot of companies do these days.
The card's lost. Within 24 hours, I had a new card.
Whoa, it's Tommy Davidson.
The fraud protection program really gave me a sense that somebody's looking
Oh,
out for
poor
me.
young Joe.
And for some reason, on the phone, they're always very friendly with me. So maybe it's just my personality. I don't know.
For some reason? What? That guy's name is Cyball.
What's going on, Kayla?
What do you think? I think you're right. Dr. Pepper does taste more like regular Dr. Pepper.
He's true. I mean, it's right.
There you go.
The taste you've been looking for.
NutraSweet.
You just asked for it, and it
No, I want the one where they sing. Oh, this is a good movie. Undercover Blues. I must have seen a zillion times.
Mommy taking the big lock, and your big girl, she'll teach you how to pick locks.
Back when Kathleen Turner was like just a little past her prime. Dennis Quaid was still rocking it.
What's all the noise about? New Yoplait Crunchin' Yogurt.
Kayla typed out
You
your
mix
Juicy
it,
Fruit
You
commercial.
crunch it. 99% fat-free. Sounds satisfying.
It's gonna move ya. People were always surfing or skiing.
Gee, Al, I wish you could feel
That's
my
what Juicy
heart.
Fruit did to you back in the day.
Wish I could feel your throat.
Oh, ow.
Second honeymoon. And all new Married with Children. Then he's kind.
Even as a kid, when Peg would force herself on Al, I always found it funny. The fact that he never wanted to sleep with Peg, and I, even as like a young child, found myself physically attracted to her. It was always hilarious when he would scream all the way to the bedroom.
Yeah, I don't get it. I never got it. Like, why?
Tell me, where's Mr. Cock?
Because it's not funny if they're happy, but it's always made me laugh.
You're making this out of yourself.
Sorry, Dr. Pepper is a lie.
Daddy Dearest after Married with Children Sunday.
All the diets, you could always tell. It was bullshit. Don't tell me that you couldn't.
1-800-COLLECT.
10 cents a minute.
Instead of 0 the next time you call someone collect.
Wow. Again, the dinosaur age. Whoa! People vary, so don't expect weight loss, is what that disclaimer said.
And they're just two of the millions of people we've taught to lose weight at Weight Watchers.
Notice how they say they've taught, not that have succeeded.
My mom did Weight Watchers, and she did Jenny Craig.
How many people have been taught algebra versus how many people succeed at algebra? Think about that, guys. Weight Watchers conspiracy.
Was the last thing Joey Coyle expected to find. Giving it back.
Oh, man.
Is the last thing he intends to do. Hollywood Pictures presents the true story.
Audio muted for 15 seconds due to copyright claim. It says, whoa, because there's probably a, wow, so the person who put this together really did us a solid. Because the last time we got a copyright claim was Herb Albert's song in some commercial.
Baby Ruth bar so intense. In this hand,
Oh, R.I.P. Gilbert Gottfried, right?
And in this hand, I have a Baby Ruth bar. Let's see which one's more intense. I don't feel it. What? Is it touching my head? I don't know. Let me try the Baby Ruth. Ah! You can feel the peanuts and the caramel.
This is all you had to do to like sell shit was like get someone to be like, yeah, it feels good on my forehead. And we did. I ate Baby Ruth back in the day.
Dad, I always call you Collect. How come you're calling me? Because of the 1-800-COLLECT $5,000 daily giveaway. We have a chance to win
Dad, why are you calling me Collect? Because I don't have any money. That's why I call you Collect. Dick.
Hey, can I borrow your share if we win?
Can I borrow it?
No.
You've never seen a camcorder like the Sharp View Cam. If
Oh,
you
look
find
at that.
it on, replaced with this LCD view screen, you're right in the action. Gretzky scores? Let's go to the replay. Then, play it back instantly with color and sound.
This is the same shit that they were saying when you had to carry a VCR via a strap on your shoulder that was completely separate from the camera you also had to carry.
Your wedding. Your kids.
Hey there, I'm Wayne Gretzky. Buy a Sharp, don't you know?
When one of these volunteers
Canada.
has a cold or allergy, should she take a medicine that can cause drowsiness?
Seems like you were looking to scare that dude. She was that ambulance driver is reckless on purpose.
Sudafed 12 hour.
So, what do you think?
You're right. Diet Dr. Pepper does this
Ooh,
more.
it really does. The amount of like dusty desert gas stations I saw in commercials in the 90s just led me to believe that in every state there was some bio area that was like Arizona. Because I thought, why would Diet Dr. Pepper be like, oh, just for Arizona? I feel like everybody had to have a desert gas station with always just a sweaty, attractive dude and a horned up lady so they could talk about the thing that they're trying to sell other than bang each other.
The taste you've been looking for. This Friday on the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh, Bruce Campbell in Briscoe County Jr. What a fun show.
I never saw
It was akin to like Xena in like campy level. Or like Hercules, The Adventures of Hercules.
Briscoe County Jr.
Did you ever watch Zorro?
Dare to unlock mysteries hidden in the FBI's most secret files.
If there was a show, no. I saw the Antonio Banderas movie.
Oh no, there was a show. And
Nope,
every
did not
time they
watch
would
that.
go with this.
Oh, that was his thing. That'd be like if Indiana Jones gave up the whip. You'd have to see that every time.
It cannot organize. It cannot create.
What?
It cannot snack. Therefore, they get no nachos. Presenting a new order of nachos from Taco Bell.
This is a college credited course on nachos?
And the most evolved nacho.
Oh, God, look how disgusting this food looks.
Taco Bell nachos. It's cool to be human.
Because we can eat nachos, brah. And everything on our menu is still under 80 cents. You can roll in with $1 and get enough tacos to die of taco poisoning. If this is a perfume commercial, I'm going to point out how they never change. I feel like either Gucci or Charlie Calvin Klein must own this beach, and they shoe down it year after year after year after year.
Your commute live, mornings on 2, weekdays 7 to 9.
Yeah, tune in to watch your commute from your car. How?
Yeah.
The durability of an oil-based enamel and the easy cleanup of a latex came together. Hard to believe? Try it and see. New Duratex colored enamel.
This guy's like, my garage is haunted. Taco Bell does make me want to golf too. Also makes me want to think up $1 million pants ideas.
Taco poisoning is the way to go.
100 tacos for $100. I wonder how out of date that is now. Simpsons did it. The 90s was a good time for a lady if you were really waiting for your own deodorant too. I remember that being a huge thing. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. We're done just producing deodorant for humans. We're going to finally produce one specifically for ladies.
Secret
or Suave or all that shit. And then, like, as if this needed to be like, oh, whoa, yeah. And then the dudes want to use their, hey, it's strong enough for a man, but it's pH balanced for me. It's like the same thing that Old Spice is doing today, but reverse. The ladies always stealing this body wash, but dudes were always stealing their ladies' deodorant back in the 90s because it was strong enough for a man. And apparently that was the only thing you needed to know if you were a dude looking for deodorant. Is this strong enough? Yeah, it is.
Detective Tom Hardy.
The famous one. Infamous.
Is on the
Bruce Willis back at it again.
Someone who knows his past.
He wants me to find these girls.
Old thriller movie trailers look so boring now.
Someone who's always waiting within striking distance.
Striking distance.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Striking distance.
Ah.
At theaters September 17th.
Sarah Jessica Parker's in it too.
64. That funky smell in the garbage can.
Not doing great.
Here's an interesting. Does anybody know why Lysol is called Lysol?
Use number 75, Rover's latest surprise.
I'm gonna let the typing square catch up because it's an interesting story. Lysol.
New Mountain Air Lysol disinfectant
Here it is
spray.
again.
As refreshing as all outdoors.
It'll make you think of a mountain after you shit.
Paper grease cuts the rate of buildup up to 30%, and it's still safe.
Go away, poop!
Super digestion
With Riddex.
protection.
This fall, TV's most eligible.
Oh, poor Sinbad. Where is he these days?
Parenthood. The Sinbad Show.
Oh man, remember in the 90s when all men were having trouble dealing with either women or children? Like, what's up with those things? Either of them.
With an outrageous hour of comedy, music, and special guests. After that, the party moves to Martin's house. And
Classic.
you won't believe who ends up in the bedroom.
They knocking boots, knocking the boots.
Let's see, Lysol is called Lysol because Febreze was taken. This is before Febreze. Okay, the Lysol goes way before Febreze. But I'll cut to the chase. Lysol is named after what it does to cells of bacteria or whatever. It causes cell lysis. If a cell goes through lysis, it breaks apart. A cell death is when the membrane breaks apart and all of its guts spew out. So to cause cell lysis is to kill cells of bacteria or yada, yada, yada. It causes lysis. Lysol.
Joe wants to know, wasn't it originally a vaginal cleaner or something? It's something from the 40s that's wicked messed up. Probably.
Yeah, I don't know the origin use of the product. I can just tell you that Lysol is referring to the fact that it causes cell lysis. That is it. I don't know where people were putting it. I was hoping just their counters.
Don't even think about it.
Living single.
I am going to enjoy being your man.
I can't believe I used to watch Living Single, but I did. Almost religiously.
Wow. I never did.
If you lived in a place that had TV, you had to go through this. There was the show you wanted to watch, like let's say The Simpsons, and it always came on, like let's say whatever, an hour before bed, and it's 30 minutes. So you always got to watch whatever came on after it, and you just became in love with it by not Munchausen.
Proxy.
Not Munchausen, by proxy. Stockholm Syndrome. Same thing with Mad About You. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Winning number for the Dorito Grand Tortilla Thins
Joe's
Chevy
answer's
Chase
gross.
Vacation Sweepstakes is Ro-Am C52.
Those old
Tune in
Doritos
tomorrow
logos.
night for another winning number.
Oh, you know what? Halloween is just around the corner. And one thing I used to love about 90s Halloween is when the football players would get dressed up in those monster costumes. Poof. All those old logos, and then like the classic IRL they'd put like, and they're terrible actors and they didn't want to act like they were interested to be there, but you'd see like a Frankenstein guy or whatever. So fun.
Presenting tender teriyaki chicken breast. Steamed
You would never use that knife
and rice.
in this situation, guys. Come on. This is racist. Jack.
They better make me manager for this.
At most places, you can get a bite to eat for under $1. Trouble is,
Okay, here's the thing. I'm completely familiar with this commercial, and the first time I saw it, I hoped against hope that it was a commercial for these tiny burgers because I fucking fell in love with the size and shape of this burger, the immediate, like instant. And the closest I've ever gotten to it is White Castle. But those are still too big for me. I want this size.
99 cents gets you a delicious double cheeseburger.
And then I was like, thanks a lot, Jack.
It's more than a bite. It's a banquet.
The reason I keep coming back is I can't go into anyone's store and find this much diversity. We always were able to find what we're looking for here. They have a lot of things.
Everybody who walks in here has the same haircut,
Now,
apparently.
during Orchard's fall event, create a fresh new look with decorative cabinet hardware from Bellwith. Over
Oh,
330 styles
look
and
at this
finishes
tacky
now
shit.
20% off. And secure your home with quick entry lock sets, elegant designs, and
Originally
easy to
marketed
install.
as a douche, says Joe. But yeah, what was it about humans that as soon as we discover something, we're like, you know what? Let's skip the testing phase and go right to just cramming it into every hole in our body. Fucking
see what works best.
like electricity, UV radiation, infrared radiation, radium, like. The fact that fucking arsenic, cocaine, it was just like as soon as we found something new, we were like, oh man, it's our new miracle cure. And then everybody was dropping fucking dead. Like it happened so goddamn often. Nobody for hundreds of years was like, you know what, maybe some testing. No, the Radium girls had jaws falling off, and they were like, I don't see a problem. Whatever.
Testing was that. That was their R&D, was just giving it to people.
Oh, yeah, and back then, like, you were as dispensable as a piece of machinery, except easier to replace.
Yeah.
Here's your invitation.
But Jesus Christ, look at the Radium girls stuff on anywhere. It's crazy.
Just look at him and he's just hot.
Love Connection, where the good times just never stop.
Weeknights at 7:30.
This is Rodney Alcala was not on Love Connection, but he was on a dating show, and everybody knows he was a murderer.
Ooh.
Fun fact: he was in the 70s.
Acura of Concord.
Was he on Mystery Date? Maybe no. Mystery Date's a game. I'm gonna stop
Acura
talking.
of Concord, member of the nationwide Hendrick Automotive Group.
Come down and get conquered with a new Ford or whatever.
Comes a movie that will leave you breathless. Christian Slater. Patricia Arquette.
Whoa!
Dennis Hopper.
What?
Val Kilmer.
Kim Cooper himself. Val Kilmer. What is this?
Christopher Walken. In a Tony Scott film, the critics are calling a Bonnie and Clyde for the 90s true romance.
I'll watch it. The commercial did its job.
The rules of the road for the 90s.
For the 90s.
Never drink and drive. Always buckle.
This might have happened in other decades, but I feel like no other decade was so meta as to refer to itself as the 90s was. Hey man, it's the 90s. Like, I fucking said that to this day.
Pull over to rest or sleep if you're tired. And always keep No-Dose handy. No-Dose is as safe as coffee and effective in helping you to stay alert if you feel drowsy or fatigued. No-Dose.
What makes it different from...
It's just a caffeine pill.
Oh.
But this is before the days of like, oh my God, what was that shit? Fen? It was basically amphetamines that they were touting as like that miracle weight loss drug. Jesus Christ. I had so many family members take that shit and like suffer heart arrhythmia. Because you're taking fucking amphetamines.
Yeah.
But we were also eating chips that had oil on it that gave you diarrhea consistently. So again, like we love diarrhea. Like we're always looking for ways to get it, and then we've got so many chemicals to combat it. It's like, yeah, we were living the high life when it came to our assholes in the 90s.
There are lots of ways to work up a deep down thirst, and with 8 flavors, there are lots
How
of
deep down is your
ways
thirst?
to quench it.
Just eat the powder. I'm getting thirstier. So many golf commercials.
Club Wingdale Foundation will hold its first annual golf classic on Monday, September 27th. You sure to enjoy the special day of
Long ass Zoom.
festivities on behalf of a worthy
Sounds
cause.
like he loves talking.
Yeah, they shot him with the light source behind him, so he's fucking dark as hell. And they were like, you know what, just say words and we'll film you, and then we'll put it on TV.
PBS.
Don't touch my Doritos, you snotty little shit. Uh-oh, something's going up. Or down, I should say. Big ass bag. Oh no. Chevy Chase is going to take some Doritos from this old lady.
Oh no.
He's going to push her under there and save the Doritos. Come on. Why is she so fascinated with these things? When we see her again. Come on, baby. Okay. Look at how her bag is open. Every chip commercial had their bags open like this, which you never ever saw in the wild. This is an unsealed bag from the factory. And it always struck me as bizarre. Like, I always thought, how the fuck did you open this bag without literally destroying the top in any way noticeable? But then you just hold it. Like, people would, it was the, those Lay's commercials. They had the hugest bag in the world, just crisp ass top. But every time you'd take out from the small fun size bag to the family size bag, you'd blast it open, and there was a 60% chance that you would cause a rupture that circumnavigated the bag, and you'd lose it all to the floor. But, you know, in commercials, it was always like, oh, just pop, apparently. Just clean as you please.
Now the bags now you need like dynamite to open them.
It's a space age problem, I guess. I knew it. He was taking the chips. Bitch dies. Oh, she's okay. All right. Why would you roll a steamroller over wet cement? What? And where did it go? What's happening?
Jane, I'd like to meet Peter. Peter makes movies.
Also, those were just tortilla chips? They were completely unflavored? I want to back that up and see. All right, the physical impossibility happens.
Thin, crisp, and irresistible. Doritos tortilla thins.
What?
Yeah, they're just tortilla chips.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, they've been and gone a couple of times in my lifetime.
Because civilized chip eaters open their bags with scissors.
But this bag would imply that it is taller than the average bag if that is the case. Because like, we all know what the bag of chips looks like. Moral of the story is, why not, in this commercial, have them dipping it in something? Like, it's the one chip that you make that does not have a flavoring built in, and you're just gonna be like, oh, Chevy Chase, you want these plain chips so bad, you're willing to endanger an old woman who admittedly doesn't have much time left anyway to get at these things? There's no flavor. Other than corn. It's like if I go to coffee for coffee. Still.
Did you make that movie?
No, I didn't.
Oh, are you talking about that HBO movie?
It really cuts you, huh?
Did you make that?
No.
Do you have HBO?
No, I didn't make it.
Excuse me.
Shouldn't people know?
I heard you make movies for HBO.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Think you've seen great movies before? Just you wait.
My question is, why does everybody at this party think he makes movies for HBO?
I don't know.
What? Flawed premise.
Calgon music.
Taj Mahal in 22 years. Average length of a new car alone, 4.5 years. Yeah, it's like 7 now.
Now you can get a 2-year lease on an Accord LX sedan for $239 a month.
That's another one you can still see on the road today, man. Like the 90s, Civics and Accords, still out there. Not in high as numbers as the Camrys. They're still chugging along, too.
The first day of summer
Kayla says the bag isn't really taller. It's just a foreshortening camera trick. It's how they make Gandalf look bigger than hobbits.
This is bullshit. They're not shooting chip commercials at like 40 frames a second on billion-dollar cameras. This is sus.
Is on the rise, along with pitchers of Country Time lemonade flavored drink mix.
Lemonade flavored drink mix. Basically yellow sugar, like we used to do back in the old days, apparently.
Blame it on the season.
This is Country Time lemonade, sir.
We've got bloopers from the world of news, weather, and sports.
That's the thing that's dead, I feel. TV bloopers.
1-800-DENTIST.
Yeah.
Information.
We just moved here and didn't know who to call.
So I called Ghostbusters, and it turns out they weren't dentists.
Someone near my home who took insurance.
But they got the demon out of my mouth.
I'm really nervous about going to the dentist. They understood that.
Who has time to
Who,
research a dentist on their own?
This is before the internet, keep in mind. So researching a dentist would take
Yellow
time.
pages.
Have you ever looked?
Well, you'd have to like ask people, like calling around, because like a dentist, I feel like is one of those things. Like if you move to a new area, you say, "Do you like your dentist? Who are they?" And you start doing it that way. Like
Personal referrals.
doing research on a dentist. Like, what are you gonna do? Call up and grill the front desk? You'd be like, "How do you like working for this dentist?"
In the phone book under dentist. Forget it.
There's so many.
Dentist, we ask the tough questions and give you the answers. Call today.
It's like the Craigslist of dentists. 1-800-CRAIGS
Aircraft
Dentist.
mechanics are the backbone of aviation. Whether for airlines,
Duh.
general, or corporate aviation, job satisfaction is high, and the financial rewards for
This is like the
skilled
Mechanics
mechanics are
Institute of today.
You can earn your FAA aircraft mechanics license in just 1 year.
Look at all
at
these
Sierra
fucking
Academy of
dials,
Aeronautics
man. How'd
Oakland
they do that
International
shit?
Airport. Call 510-568-6100
Ugh.
and get the full story on how you can become an FAA licensed aircraft
Get the
mechanic at
lowdown
Sierra
on how to
Academy.
become an air flight mechanic.
At
Eastwood Insurance, you can save a lot of money on car insurance.
Well, before they were using the Clint Eastwood doppelganger, they just used a nerd.
Eastwood Insurance at 1-800-468-LESS, and within 5 minutes I had a quote.
The law says I have to have a...
And I say, fuck them. So here's the thing. This reminds me a lot of, because I was around for both the newish, whatever, Eastwood Insurance and when Kia popped. And both of them had commercials like this, where it's like, what is it? I don't know. I've never heard of it, but it's cheap.
Insurance. At Eastwood, I can make low monthly
And they also use a similar color scheme, I feel. I could be making that up.
I've never heard of Eastwood.
Oh, man. And its height. They had their own character that was a cowboy. It was obviously a reference to Clint Eastwood, but it was their version of Flo. It was their version of the General. It was Shaq, if you will.
468 LESS.
But he lost the Clint Eastwood veneer very quickly.
They protect us from the ravages of storms. They provide haven for rare plants and animals, and they soothe us with their quiet beauty. But more than half of our coastal dunes have been destroyed.
I'm Kathleen Turner.
Protects coastal dunes so that
I'm making a doll for girls everywhere called Lionheart Lisa. Won't you buy one?
And maybe forever. I'm Kathleen Turner, and I'm a member of the Nature Conservancy. Won't you join us?
Please.
Like the Sarah McLaughlin
For nature.
Return from Witch Mountain is sponsored
And now
by
she's the spokesperson for Marlboro.
better.
I'm kidding.
And
That's
by
not true.
Vidal Sassoon, Academy salons and hair care products. Professional care.
You know, I heard that if you gave Vidal Sassoon your hair, they would take it from there. I never took them up on their offer.
Sterilize everything. You even buy those expensive diapers. But eventually, you get over it.
And then you get loves. People are still getting over it to this day and getting loves. I want you to know that.
What are more expensive diapers? They're all the same price now.
This is the 90s.
Cost less every day without coupons. Like you have time to clip coupons. You don't have time to
Who's clipping anything?
live in Popeye. And then get lost.
They're still
What was for dinner?
diehard fans.
Some chicken and noodly stuff. They won't forget stovetop stuffing. That warm, dig right in taste. Just watch their memories improve.
Okay, that's the other thing about the 90s is like the side dish bonanza that was the fucking 90s. Stovetop and Rice-A-Roni and Hamburger Helper came out with sides. Everybody, like packets and boxes and shit that you could like do noodles or beans or all this other crazy shit. I felt like it was a cutthroat. Like you had the top tier, like the Rice-A-Roni and your the hell was this product again? Stovetop. Yeah, Stovetop was the big one. They were like the Coke and Pepsi or the Ford and Chevy or whatever. And then like all the groundlings underneath. But it would just feel like I could have died under an avalanche of boxes and bags of powders and dried shit that was like, oh, this will kick your dinner up a fucking notch or 12.
Make them stovetop, because everything else is just stuff.
Before the satin comes
This is stuffing.
before the cashmere or denim, the silk.
Before the leather or the lace.
Comes with Caress moisturizing body wash. It not only cleanses,
Before you dress, you have to caress. Because if you caress afterwards, your clothes get all soapy.
every day, nothing leaves you silkier. So before the linen or lace comes the silk.
It's true.
Before you dress, caress with Caress moisturizing body wash.
Great story.
It was nice.
Fireball was seen over 75 years ago.
And after I see it tonight, I can die a happy man.
Because I'm killing myself with this gun. Professor!
Some gums lose flavor fast, leaving you looking for another piece.
Oh, yeah.
Too bad he wasn't chewing extra sugar-free gum. It's the one with delicious...
Extra painted such a grim picture of your life if you were chewing Trident. This is only one example, but I watched hours and hours of people missing shit because they were so caught up in the flavor of their gum they had to look away to get another piece.
Another 75 years.
Hey, people are living a lot longer these days.
Hey, after you're dead, we can put you in a cryonics bed, and hopefully this won't be the one that catches on fire.
Last extra long.
Sad story, true story, but they were already dead, so what are you going to do?
Protect your hair from blow-drying heat with Vidal Sassoon.
There's also a Paul Mitchell
Their
school.
moisturizer complex guards every strand.
Got another one.
Vidal Sassoon protection.
I feel like Vidal Sassoon and Paul Mitchell, that's a missed opportunity for like that old Clay Fighters MTV show.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The fuck was that called?
Celebrity
Deathmatch. They should have had Vidal Sassoon versus Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
Fucking nailed it.
In Northern California. Fact, the Toyota Tercel may be the only low-priced thing in Northern California.
Am I right, folks? Buy a fucking Tercel.
More likely to buy a Toyota. Fact, in Northern California, Toyota trucks outsell Ford and Nissan combined. Fact, nobody has successfully combined a Ford and a Nissan. Conclusion,
Well, because you use the...
more likely to buy a Toyota.
people in commercials are stupid. That's the only way around it.
The warehouse knows that Christmas can sometimes feel too
Boring. I want Halloween commercials. Oh, creepy. If you're familiar with the review we did of the Garfield Christmas special, this looks a lot like the Santa Claus from Garfield's Dream that grants him every wish. But a little bit creepier. And by a little, I mean a lot.
A lot of it.
This is fucked. What? This is a Disney commercial? I would have gone easy on the child scarring, but this is probably close. Oh no, it's a warehouse commercial. They didn't mind scarring children.
Right.
Someone will pick out a tree that's too big for the room.
Does that still happen? I feel like that might be a Christmas equivalent of the concept of quicksand. Every time you see somebody in the media buy a Christmas tree, it's always just this too tall. So as you hoist it, the top goes and it's all fucked. And then the hilarity ensues because you go, oh, we'll fix that. And the person you always employ cuts some off the top instead of off the bottom. That's holiday quicksand is what I'm getting at.
Probably.
It's bullshit.
Kayla says if Celebrity Deathmatch had the Mitchell versus Sassoon fight, Marilyn Manson would still find a way to interrupt it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we still can't escape that it was the early 2000s / late 90s.
With all her heart.
Gimmicks.
That was a pretty funny show, though.
I mean, it was okay. It didn't have a lot of substance. If you could stretch out the novelty, then yeah, but it did not last long for me.
Yeah.
Because after a while, you go, okay, it's just clay. It's like watching episodes of somebody playing Clay Fighters.
This symbol outside
Like if they put it on VHS.
the standard inside that an entire library
Look at these
of
giant
software
chips.
can listen to.
Windows, what's that?
The Intel microprocessor. Think of
Did they survive?
a library card that lets you run the software of
The Intel library card. Pick one up today.
with Intel. The computer
I wonder how fast this processor is. Probably 400 megahertz.
Home theater with Laserdisc images, 60%
Laserdisc.
Wow.
The world's leading AV receivers. Speakers customized for home theater.
This character actor has been in a zillion
Big
things.
screen picture that's real as life. From the leaders in audio and video. Home theater so advanced, you don't just watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up now, and it didn't have legs for me back then. But, you know, when it was fresh, I think it was just too long. Like, it was a season worth of gimmick that got stretched out for
Right.
so many.
Long time.
This commercial in particular made me fall in love with these paper straws. And then I finally got my hands on one and realized the paper straws suck ass. But I can't tell you how many straws, and you probably did too, viewer. How many straws did you ruin after seeing this commercial trying to stick them into an orange? Put it in the typing square.
Is all we ever had. So when you want that great fresh squeezed taste,
So many straws I destroyed trying to get into any citrus I could. I tried lemons, limes, oranges, because I figured, you know, the principle has to work somewhere. Never.
Read my beak. No more birds. For dinner, I mean. Instead, try new recipe Whiskas. It's made with fresh meat, which I know you savages prefer. And it's a heck
But if
of
it's
a lot
not
more
bird meat, what is
nutritious
it?
than a teeny little guy like myself.
What was the speed of that
Cats
processor?
love the fresh meat taste of new recipe Whiskas. Cats would buy Whiskas.
If they had a job, but they're so goddamn lazy.
It's Oldsmobile's 95th birthday celebration.
R.I.P. Oldsmobile.
Our inventory of Oldsmobiles, all at huge savings.
Save on Cutlass Sierra, the best model in
I can't believe the half-life of Oldsmobile. Like, it has old in the name, and it, like, they catered to their audience, but like in the beginning, Oldsmobile was just named after a dude, and it somehow sank into only old people buy them, and then they just vaporized. Along with Saturn and fucking, I think Buick still exists, but Jesus.
Hi, Mr. Rossi. I'm here about the weekend job.
Whoa, it's Chris O'Donnell. Where is he? He played Robin, then he left.
But before the weekend's over, she's not bad.
What is this?
They're going to
He plays a blind dude. Crap, I want to get it before they say it.
Al Pacino. Scent of a woman.
There we go, crap.
Scent of a woman?
Yeah, he plays a blind lawyer.
Our 6-inch meatball sub features meatballs and sauce on bread I just baked.
And it's almost 6 inches.
I won't say how low, but you'll
$1.69.
The 6-inch meatball sub, only $1.69.
Jesus.
Only at Subway.
Adjusted for inflation, that's like $47 today. Or whatever. I gotta get an inflation calculator up if I'm gonna do these old-timey commercials.
Introducing the 32-valve, 280 horsepower Lincoln Mark 8.
Here's the thing about these big-ass cars, though. Comfortable as hell. The Ford Crown Vic, the Lincoln, the Mercury, like anything that used that body type that was huge like that, even the Ford Thunderbird, they had huge, quiet engines, those big bench seats up front and back like I love. And sometimes there'd even be like a turbo in there. I got to drive a girlfriend's dad's car to a dance once. Ford Thunderbird, 8 cylinders and a turbo. Holy shit.
Wow. And he trusted you with that?
I got trusted with so much shit by so many people. I just assumed that I had some sort of credibility because the amount of cars that I was allowed to drive that probably shouldn't have, like, I was granted so much license as a child, and you know, thank you for all that it did, but why?
Drive everything else fart.
Because to add a caveat onto that story is like, because every time I was allowed to use the thing, the person associated with that thing that was either letting me use it or was a relative of it would always tell me, oh, I can't believe they're letting you do this to this thing. This is their baby. And I go, why the fuck am I behind the wheel? I had a car, but I couldn't say no to a V8.
Yeah.
What a luxury car.
I was rocking 4 cylinders and probably 90 horsepower back in that day.
Neck pain.
Butt pain.
There are all
Diarrhea.
kinds of back pain. Domes relieves them all with an ingredient these brands don't have. Relieve back pain with
You get lower back pain from all the diarrhea, all the muscle clenching.
You've been hearing a lot of noise about long distance.
Have
While
I?
No one takes you to more places than AT&T. Did you know this? Place for place, Europe, Asia,
What are we looking
South
at?
America, everywhere. We give you competitive
It's like a magic eye drawing. Oh, here we go.
difference between AT&T and other major long distance companies.
I want to get to the commercials where Hulk Hogan was and Howie Long.
Real issue. What should you think about it?
They were telling me to use AT&T. Somebody was also working for Sprint.
Isn't that the new Nissan? Yeah, the Altima.
Nissan Altima has been the best-selling new car in our history.
A lot of those out there still too,
One
man.
of the top 10 import buys. Not bad for a car starting at $13,000.
Unfortunately, the ones you find of these are like The Walking Dead. Like, it's so sad. Some of these cars that you see and you grew up sort of coveting as a child because they were in your price range or whatever, and now you cut to whatever 20 years later and you see them today, and they're just like what a human looks like as compared to a zombie that got turned a few months ago. Like, would you remember them as like your friend or your relative or whatever, and you go, oh, such memories, but you come upon and find him in like a dark basement chewing on a rat, and this is their shambling corpse. Because like now, by and large, these Altimas have like 2 or 3 windows that are plastic, different colored bumpers and doors and like, but they're still out there, man. They're piecing them back together. That's one of the things I like about these old cars. They're kind of like Legos. You can get all the pieces, and nobody cares about the color in them because at this point they're fucking 30 years old.
Do they sell that one too?
Now your Nissan
I'm also impressed with how many people around the area where I live that have Jurassic Park and like really authentic looking Jurassic Park inspired vehicles. Everything from the Wranglers in that beige and red to the full blown Explorer, like that bright green. I see so many of those around here.
Yeah.
has a special holiday allocation of
The money.
So for a limited time, Altima is more than just affordable. It's available.
I wonder what they mean by limited time.
I wonder what they mean by affordable. Depends on what the word is. The word meningitis doesn't sound terrible, but if the meninges around your brain is inflamed, that is awful. I think meningitis should have a scarier name.
I don't know. I feel like meningitis is...
Meningitis to me sounds too close to gingivitis. So I hear meningitis, I go, oh, it's like a head cold? Or something. You know, meningitis, gingivitis, all the itises, it's just an inflammation. It's like the band, edema. Painful swelling, am I right?
Yep.
What the fuck is this?
Health plans.
This must have been like really impressive back in the day.
California Care.
Wow. Insurance.
Oh yeah, Blue Cross has been on the...
This is its competition.
What a classic look for Dodge. Ugly as hell, but every Dodge you saw that was this body type had this color scheme too.
Chevy, nothing. And since you can get over $2,600
Meningitis sounds like a sequel to Men in Tights. Men in Tights 2, Meningitis. Meningitis. What is jitis? I know what tights are.
Turbo diesel. There's nothing like it. See it at your Dodge.
My meninges! Man, we're never gonna see a fucking Juicy Fruit commercial.
Compare the new 32 valve, 280 horsepower.
Also, my grandparents had either I think it was the Lincoln Grand Marquis, which is like the high-end version of the Crown Vic.
Crown Vic, yeah.
And I remember driving from, they would pick me up, we lived in Mesa all the way to Globe, so it was like, whatever, hour and a half drive. And even as a child in the back seat, the level of comfort and luxury in that thing, I was always upset having to get out of that car. Because we had, again, the minivan or whatever, the Pontiac Transport, and those things were built for economy, not for comfort. Oh my God.
Lincoln Mark 8 to everything else.
I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those old boxy minivans, though. It'd be fun to turn into like a portable something.
Yeah.
Like what people did with the Honda Element.
The new Lincoln Mark 8.
But those old square vans, though, they had square and cubic footage to spare.
You're on top of the world.
Oh,
When they're about to take a fall.
this might be the precursor to the weird costumes.
You can be sure your batteries will be
And everybody knows what I'm talking about. The weird battery people with the fucking vinyl faces and the battery in the back. That might be the progenitor. More true crime. Someone, I forget who, I think it was the owner's son of the Coors Brewery, abducted and murdered.
Oh.
I think they found his body in one of the Colorado streams right up the road. Old-timey crimes are stupid. Look into that one and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Now it's your call. Cold Coors Light is the right beer now. That's all.
It's the silver bullet. You can get a werewolf drunk with this shit.
At the farthest reaches of the galaxy.
What? Oh, is this Deep Space Nine? Yep, there's Quark. There we go.
Fleet officer to face their greatest challenge.
O'Brien.
But most of all, it waits for you. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. In January, the wait will be over.
Oh.
Been waiting so
Yeah,
long.
you'll see the TNG cast just long enough to become comfortable, and then they'll fly off, leaving you with these weirdos.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, though. We had Worf and O'Brien. We had some familiar faces. I was not a huge fan of Deep Space Nine, though.
That's the one with the crazy guy, crazy captain, right?
Cisco?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you want to define crazy?
Well, like IRL. He's
Yeah, he's a little nutty in
nuts.
real life, but so is Shatner, I think. But anyway, moral of the story is I think that's probably it for tonight. We've been going for quite a while. And you know how much I love 90s commercials. It can go on forever. But we got to call it because, time zones be as they may, I'm sure everybody's getting tired, but I appreciate you guys showing up. This has been very fun. No plan turned into something, so I always got something covered. Krista, do you want to mention a small business?
Oh, geez.
I've got no staff recommendations. I'm not even going to bother. But if you want to, you say Athena, obviously she showed up. Check out her little small shop.
Bewitching Spirits. She's got a Facebook page, and you can find her on Instagram, and she's got a website. She makes really awesome gemstone trees.
I want to get one of her tooth trees.
She's starting to make tooth trees and fairy trees and stuff for one of the stores that she's in Texas.
If you like that, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like esoteric with a little bit of a dark edge to it. Yeah. I think all of her stuff is very, I don't want to say like sinister, but it kind of has like Alice in Wonderland type hidden malignity, or like there's something deeper there that I like about it. There's something compelling, and it's not like
wired. It's not like wire. Like she does like clay work, and like she does a lot of crazy designs and stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely a mood and a theme that I really like. And if you see her stuff, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But I'm doing a shit job describing it. But I guess, so we'll just keep her as our status quo recommendation.
Yeah, we should
like her
put,
stuff.
when we do the lives and stuff in the description, we should put her website too at some point.
I always forget stuff like that, but someday we'll get this thing singing. I mean, it's only been like 13 years. We'll get the handle of it. Anyway, guys, thank you again so much for showing up. It is, as always, a pleasure to be here with you guys. And, fucking 90s and shit. So we'll catch you next time on another live episode of whatever this is. And it might not even be this. So keep that in mind.
For this, try to